Hey there, good evening. Nice to see you. It is time for the Bronx Buzz. This is BronxNet's program where we talk to reporters and writers and editors, journalists, other people writing about the Bronx so you can get some insight into some of the things that are going on in the Bronx and in our city of New York. And in our second segment, we have a wonderful Bronx artist that you are going to enjoy. She has a very specific point of view. But right now, let's bring on Anastasia Tomkin, who we first read her in City Limits. And she is a new journalist in a way because you are a Master of Journalism student at the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism. Nice to see you, Anastasia.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me, Gary.
It's always interesting to me, and I know to viewers, and we talk to the journalists who are, gone through the Craig Newmark program. Where are you at in that program? Are you ready to say, okay, world, I've got my master's, I'm ready to write some more?
Yes, precisely that. I'm basically at the end. My internship at City Limits was like 3/4 of the way through. So now I just have the fall semester and I graduate in December, God willing.
And why journalism? Why did you go through this? At what point in your life did you say, this, this is what I want to do?
Yeah, so I always loved writing as a child. A lot of people have that testimony. And so when I moved to the US roughly 8 years ago, I used writing as a way to process my new reality. It's a whole new society, it's a culture shock.
Oh, that's
So I
interesting.
had a blog on
And we should
Medium.
say from where. You told me from
Oh,
where,
yes,
but you
from Trinidad and Tobago.
that's what we wanted to
Yes.
establish. Go
So I had
ahead.
a blog on Medium and I would put my writing on it. I had articles and basically it blew up from there. I got to write articles for Nonprofit Quarterly. And then I realized I wanted to make a career change and pursue journalism as a full-time career.
And so I understand that you when you came here you were like, wow, I see this, I want to write about it, I want to talk about it. What's it been like working at City Limits and even going through the Craig Newmark School for you to hone that craft and make you say, wow, I really like this?
Oh my gosh. Well, firstly, the people that I've met have been
Oh,
the sweetest, most
wow.
fun people. So I felt like I belong with them. I felt like
Wow.
they understand my sense of humor. They understand my passion for social justice. They support it. So it really made me feel like my true self. And then coming to City Limits, it was even more so. Jean Marie, she's the editor. She's wonderful. She's patient. And so I was able to produce the type of work that I'm passionate about. I was
Wow.
covering poverty and the social safety net. And I've produced like roughly 5 or 6, I have the sixth one supposed to come out soon,
Okay.
articles on that topic.
Great. Well, you have done a perfect intro to the story that caught my eye, and I said, "Boy, we have to have Anastasia here." New York, and the story was New York's Reparations Commission starts its work, and I really am particularly interested in this. In part because we did a show way back in, I guess it was 2022, where I did an edition of my other program, Bronx Talk, where we talked to the people in the Racial Justice Commission who are encouraging Bronxites, of course, but people in New York City to establish the Racial Justice Commission. Now that happened, but your piece talks about the next step. Would you be so kind as to explain where we are at in actually getting the work of the Racial Justice Commission to be implemented?
Yes, absolutely. So the Racial Justice Commission is actually something different from the New York Reparations Commission. That happened a couple years back. It actually ended pretty recently,
Oh, I
but
didn't
it is
realize that. Wait,
different.
wait. I didn't realize that they had ended that. I wasn't aware of that. But I guess my reason for bringing it up is that's the state of mind that we were going to be doing these things to establish reparations, to make racial justice in New York City the law. So anyway, that's I just want to establish that's why I brought it up. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely related. Racial justice and reparations are intertwined, but they are two separate commissions. And actually, they
Yes.
do share one particular member, Jennifer Jones Austin, who I was able to speak to for my article. She was on both that commission and she's also on the New York Reparations Commission. And
Right.
so the Reparations Commission was something that the governor implemented around February of this year. And it basically says the commission has 12 months from the date of their first meeting to provide recommendations on reparatory actions for the legacy of slavery and racial injustice to Black New Yorkers specifically. So that's
So
what the Reparations Commission is about.
And what is interesting about it is, the Racial Justice Commission was a city effort, but this you're establishing to be a statewide effort. What is hoped for? What are the results that we hope for? What are the kind of reparations are they saying would make sense that we're waiting to have implemented?
Well, during the course of my reporting, it was difficult to get concrete answers on what exactly these measures would look like, which is understandable. You know, it's a controversial subject, and I think because it's still in the early stages, they just want to be a bit protective of what they're trying to do. However, it is something that they're doing publicly because people can come to Albany, can watch these meetings. It's even being live streamed. So I think they're doing their best to have it be a transparent process. And based on what was done in other cities, other states like California, Illinois, it could range from like housing vouchers to direct cash payments. It really all depends on what the commission comes up with.
Well, one of the things you reported was that, and I'm going to read it out, New York State has a higher racial wealth gap than the national average white population, nearly 15 times more wealth than Black New Yorkers. And the numbers that you put out, I had to scratch my head. The median household net worth for white New Yorkers was $276,000, and Black New Yorkers was 18,000. I don't mean to laugh. It's a horrible discrepancy. So what's the next step on that? And we'll talk about something else in a moment. But what is the next step on that? Are we just waiting to hear for them to come out with stuff, or are they doing something next, or what do you see as the next step?
Yeah, so from where I see it, they're going to have their meetings. They're going to come up with some recommendations and measures. And then that's where the challenge comes in of getting the city officials, well, state officials to pass those measures. What's important as well is to get support from the general public. Sometimes people think, reparations for slavery, none of us were alive back then. So
Yeah,
it's
right.
kind of
Why
a
bother?
process. Right. Or is it really fair? And so it's a matter of educating people and hearing their concerns and just letting them know about the connection between slavery and Jim Crow laws and segregation and racial injustice in general, and how that leads to the wealth gap that we're seeing and how reparations can improve the situation for Black New Yorkers and Black Americans in general.
The next story I want to talk about, and I have to say, I really appreciated your headline here, and that is 1 million New York City households lost their internet subsidies. Plans to revive the aid are in political purgatory. That is a very, very straight assessment of it. Describe the political purgatory that is stopping people from getting their internet subsidies. Sorry,
Well,
it caught my eye. I couldn't resist.
no, absolutely. Yeah. And I think I came up with that term purgatory once I did the reporting and I spoke with both Democrat Congressman Dan Goldman. He's great. He was very helpful, very bold with his views as well, which I
Yes, he
appreciated.
is.
Yes, but once I spoke with him, and then I spoke with the press secretary for Congressman Williams, who is Republican, I realized that they do have some opposing views on the scope of this bill and whether it should have certain limitations. And unless there can be compromise from either political party, the ACP program, Affordable Connectivity Program, is not likely to be reinstated.
Wow. And
So that's where I was like, oh, it's in limbo. It's in purgatory.
yes. Let me ask you this: who are the 1 million New Yorkers? Are these people in every borough? Are they specifically in areas where Wi-Fi and internet is not there? Is it for people in public housing? What's who lost the subsidy? I guess is what I'm asking.
Yeah, so it's mostly low-income New Yorkers. So people that are on Medicaid or receive certain types of government assistance,
Uh,
people who have children in New York City public schools. There were such a range of people that benefited from this program. And the numbers actually grow when it's considered New York State. And so New York City is the
that's
one
right.
that is the 1 million figure, and it rises to nearly 2 million when you consider New York State.
Wow.
So yeah, basically people that needed it the most, that were
So did this get lost in the city's budget or the state budget? Is that where this got lost? That they just said, well, we're not going to fund this anymore.
um,
I don't like it. Would be my editorial comment.
yeah, I think it's one of those things that the bills at the federal level, it requires bipartisan support sometimes, and it's not getting that support right now. And that could change, that if we put pressure on elected officials and say, hey, this was something really great and we need to reinstate it,
Well,
it's possible that it could
we're
come
we're
back.
almost out of time, but my question would be: so how are you going to lift people up and help them do better if they don't have access to like what is now a required, advancement, technical advancement? Got to be done. We got just a few seconds left. Want to give us a hint what you're writing about next? Can we do?
Actually, I right now I'm working on my YouTube channel, the Police
Oh,
Accountability Podcast. So I'm trying
so
to
there
be
you go.
consistent with that, and that's where I'm at right now.
Listen, Anastasia Tomkin, we met her at City Limits, but she is a Craig Newmark almost graduate. And thank you so much for joining us on the Bronx Buzz. Keep writing, keep letting us know what you're working on, and we'll bring you back to talk about it because all this stuff really, really matters.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Gary. Thank you,
Thank
Bronx
you.
Buzz.
Great. And so we'll take a break and then we're going to go to another artist, an artist who does political advocacy and has a point of view very similar to the one we just heard. Don't go away.